Hello, hello. Alrighty, welcome to the stream. If you are new, please like, subscribe, whatever you got going on. If you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, wherever, I appreciate it. Give me a like, comment, share, follow, whatever, all that good stuff, all that engagement bait. Got a few things on the agenda for news today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things I found interesting. Not a whole lot, not nearly as much as yesterday anyway. Kind of close to yesterday, I guess. But got a few things we got going on. Got some COVID vaccine news, some social media news, some news about Florida, because that place is, it is what it is. What's up, Sami? Hey, what's up, Jenna? Yeah, I hope you're doing well as well. Thanks for coming through. Oh, man. I forgot to get it. What's up, Cam? I hope you're feeling better tonight. I'm glad you're with us. I forgot to get a drink, so I'm going to have a dry, scratchy throat throughout the duration of the stream tonight, but that's okay. That's fine, because I'm not going to be, belching and stuff during the stream, so that's cool. Did you miss DBD yesterday? No, you didn't. Thank you for the follow, Osnal. I actually didn't play DBD yesterday. I thought about it, but then I didn't see you or anyone I wanted to play with on, so I just played Hunt anyway. What's up, Jerson? Alright, we could start pretty early today because got some people in here already. How am I feeling? I'm feeling pretty good. I appreciate you, Cam. I'm feeling okay. Let me adjust. Hold on. Adjust things a bit here so that it's there we go. That should be better. That's cool. You don't feel like you died anymore? Yeah, the recovery is pretty quick on the vaccine, I hear. And you've lost 30 pounds. Nice. I have gained all the weight that I lost back, so that's cool. I'm a thick boy, but I'm still pretty muscular. So it's cool. Got to coordinate next time. Yeah, we'll coordinate a little bit better, Brandon. So this first piece of news is about the intellectual property. Thick, thank you, Donald. This is about intellectual property for the vaccines. I mentioned yesterday that Joe Biden was considering waiving the patents on the vaccines. Naturally, people who stand to make money from the vaccines are not too keen on that idea. Hang on, let me pull it up. Thanks for the like. Let's check this out.
Well, over 1 billion COVID jabs have been given worldwide in the biggest vaccination campaign in history. That's enough to vaccinate about 8% of the planet. But a global scramble for jabs has split the world in two.
At this rate, we'll have a situation where we'll have a two-tiered vaccine world, where the rich world will be fully vaccinated by the end of this year, whereas poor countries can expect only to be fully vaccinated by 2023. And this is completely unacceptable.
To speed things up, over 100 countries are fighting for vaccine makers to share their recipes and technology. They have the support of over 170 world leaders and Nobel laureates, and now a crucial backing from the Biden administration to waive intellectual property protections. Critics, including drug companies, say this plan won't help and could even slow the global rollout. So, what's the fastest way to vaccinate the world? Here's what you need to know.
Hang on, before we go into the rest of this, Cam, you should definitely get the vaccine. If you're not taking the vaccine because you have immune issues or something like that, it's not safe for you to get it, and I understand that, but there's really no good reason for you not to get vaccinated aside from that. And I speak as a person who, you don't know what's in there. Of course you do. Of course you do. Is this like, I know you're kind of young, Cam, but like, I gotta seriously ask before I go in about the way that I'm about to go in. If you're trolling, are you trolling? Because the amount of stuff that you consume on a daily basis that you have no idea what's in it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't know what's in a carrot. Like, if you drink soda, congratulations. You drink stuff every day that's more dangerous than what's in that vaccine. We could. In fact, I kind of want to do this because I know I have people in my audience that are kind of leery on the vaccine. I could probably pretty reasonably explain why the vaccine is safe, Cam. If you want to do that, no judgment. You know what I mean? Only because you're so young. I know you're young. You're not really an adult. Otherwise, I'd probably cook you. But it's reasonable for you to be afraid of the vaccine as young as you are. Let me go ahead and continue with this.
Developing countries are asking for a waiver on intellectual property rights in the vaccines so that they can either develop their own vaccines or have access to cheaper options. However, unfortunately, right now, the EU and its member states, as well as other rich countries, are blocking this waiver.
Backed by about 100 countries, this would entail waiving a key global trade agreement known as TRIPS. They argue that a time-limited waiver would promote more manufacturing and a much faster rollout of jabs.
Pharma companies are putting profit, not people, first.
This is facts.
We need companies to share all their research.
On the other side, however, opponents say it won't necessarily help. One argument is that waiving patents wouldn't make much of a difference in the first place. They say this is because the capacity to safely manufacture vaccines elsewhere is far too limited. The main long-standing objection, though, is that suspending IP rights would remove the incentive for drug companies to innovate in the future.
Oh my God.
In other words, without IP rules, drug companies wouldn't have good reasons to risk billions on research and development. We would also probably never have gotten COVID-19 vaccines so quickly.
Oh my
Typically,
God.
in
This is
vaccine
fucking
development,
painful.
it takes years because you're waiting for fairly rare events to occur, which is infections of the disease you're trying to prevent.
We have
Good evening,
experience in the
Francia.
messenger RNA field for more than a decade, and we have technologies in place which allows us to make vaccines and evaluate vaccine candidates in an ultra fast fashion.
Critics, however, question one or both of these arguments. Campaigners and prominent economists, including Mariana Mazzucato, say that firstly, intellectual property rights were never designed for use during deadly pandemics.
I made you a lot less
Exceptions
afraid.
have been
Good. We'll
created
talk
in
about
the
it
past,
after this.
like penicillin during the Second World War. Secondly, it's not just IP protections that may drive incentives to innovate and produce, but government funding. In the US, 6 vaccine companies have received about $12 billion of public money, and a lot more historically for basic research.
Of course.
This idea that somehow a time-limited patent waiver to deal with extraordinary circumstances would somehow stifle future innovation is very difficult to buy, because there are some very deep fault lines in the way we currently fund our innovation systems.
Facts.
The reason why this makes sense is the biggest driver of innovation really is need and necessity.
Right.
By imposing these patterns, we take away this key motivating factor from poorer countries. The countries are poor. They're not incompetent when it comes to technical innovation. So we take away that blockage and we allow 1,000 flowers to bloom.
Thirdly, they argue that manufacturing capacity worldwide does exist and could potentially add hundreds of millions of doses to supply. But waiving IP rules wouldn't make a difference on its own. Without the technology and knowledge, a waiver may be a non-starter.
Facts.
We must have a framework for the next pandemic.
World Trade Organization Chief Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala says there is a so-called third way. She says companies should pursue more licensing agreements to get manufacturers on board. She also says companies should use multilateral arrangements to share technology and know-how voluntarily. But so far, the latter hasn't really been taken up.
Ideally, we would like pharmaceutical companies to be involved in that process, right? Because for the licensing to take place or to be part of the waiver would also involve not just information that might be in the patent application, but also technical know-how. Many of this information that's necessary might be commercially sensitive, might be held as trade secrets, might not be disclosed. So ideally, if we want this to be done with a sense of urgency, we need these companies to cooperate. If they're not going to cooperate, then I suggest governments support this waiver and allow developing countries to do their thing.
Drug companies, on the other hand, maintain they are up to the task of meeting the world's vaccine needs.
Thanks for the
and
host.
That is other problems that have slowed things down. They say the unprecedented nature and scale of the pandemic has created shortages of everything from key ingredients to tubes and plastics. Trade barriers and restrictions, they say, are also slowing down supply chains. Nevertheless, as capacity is ramped up, they say worldwide production could reach 10 billion doses by the end of this year.
We are ready to discuss how the US proposal for waiver on intellectual property protection for COVID vaccines could help achieve that objective. In the short run, however, we call upon all vaccine-producing countries to allow exports and to avoid measures
That's not necessarily
that
true,
disrupt
Cam, and I'm
supply
going to explain
chains.
to you why in a second. So, I'm going to talk more about this news story, but I'm going to talk at you for a second, Cam. So, firstly, the vaccine, as with like a lot of other medicines, a lot of other stuff that you consume on a daily basis, like soda, like fast food, any of that kind of stuff. Like when we're talking about things that you put into your body and not knowing exactly what you're putting into your body, that's something you do every day and you don't think twice about it. In terms of the COVID vaccine, there's a lot of propaganda surrounding it because the COVID-19 itself, coronavirus, is a novel coronavirus. It's a virus not before that hadn't existed before on the planet. But the thing is, the thing that gets lost in translation is that scientists and like epidemiologists and so on and so forth have been working on a mRNA virus vaccine for like 30 years. It's just now the urgency has been expedited because we are currently experiencing a global pandemic, right? So the push to complete that research and to really get that out the door has been heavily incentivized because people are dying of the disease that could prevent, right? Whereas 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe not in certain other countries, but especially here in America and maybe also in Europe, in Western Europe, that was not necessarily the case. They didn't have to worry about things like SARS or, you know, those types of things that other places in the world have to worry about. In fact, these patent hawks or what have you, like these people working for these pharmaceutical companies are kind of giving the game away because the motive is not necessarily to better mankind in terms of releasing these vaccines so that people don't die from these viruses, right? The motive is profit because that's how capitalism works. That's how the American system for medical services works. It's not about saving lives. It's about making money, right? You have to have for-profit insurance. There's for-profit hospitals, all the stuff that things that we should acknowledge are wrong, right? We should generally acknowledge that if you need something to live, it probably shouldn't cost money. Things like insulin, you know what I mean? If you like Google right now, if you're an able-bodied person, just Google right now the price of a fucking power wheelchair. It's insane, right? So these types of things should not have barriers. They should not have restrictions placed upon them. But because we live in a system of capitalism, everything needs to cost money, right? You got to make money coming and going. You got to be fleecing someone somewhere at all times. Now, in terms of what you said about the virus passing in a year or so, the reason why that's not true is because of how many people in the world will not be vaccinated. They said in the video we just watched that there will be, by the end of the year, what will actually happen is potentially there will be a two-tiered society where you will have people who could afford the vaccine because of the country they live in, the circumstances they were in, the vaccinated people versus the unvaccinated people, right? And the reason why that's dangerous is because the mRNA virus, or like the novel coronavirus, it has RNA, which means it mutates very quickly. Just in the year or so, year and change that we've had this virus in global saturation, we've had multiple variants, right? We've had the UK variant, we've had the South African variant, we've had United States has its own variant. What will happen if not everyone gets vaccinated, if we don't get to herd immunity, right? What will happen is the virus will mutate and will render the vaccines ineffective, which means that even if you get vaccinated, you will still potentially be able to get COVID and potentially die from COVID because the virus has had a reservoir by which it can propagate, mutate, and defeat any defenses that humanity might have against it. What's up, Misha? This is honestly kind of funny because Germany for a bit had a bit of an issue purchasing enough vaccines, but Merkel is backing this patent bullshit limiting vaccine production. Oh, of course. Of course. Boosters every year like the flu. Yes, that's what a lot of epidemiologists are saying right now, is that because of how fucked up this vaccine, well, how fucked up the country's response to the virus has been, including the United States. But because of how fucked up this vaccine rollout's been, we're probably going to have to take boosters, just like you'll have to take a flu shot. You'll have to take a COVID shot. Now, me personally, I don't take flu shots. I am usually pretty precautious, so I don't catch the flu. But I would recommend getting a COVID vaccine because COVID seems to be a bit more dangerous in terms of the short term and the long term than the influenza virus. But yeah, you should definitely get vaccinated. It's not dangerous, it's not rushed, it's not unapproved, it's not any of this goofy shit that you might hear on like the right wing clogosphere. The vaccine has been in research for decades. It's safe. The number of people that have died from the vaccine is exponentially lower than the people that have died from the virus itself. I'm not going to say it's zero, but it's very, very close to zero. And at least in comparison to how many people have died from the virus. So, yeah, even if you're not worried about getting the virus yourself, if you're young and you think that, you'll be fine, you should do it for the herd immunity, right? Because even if you survive, that's potential. If you get the virus, then there's potential for the virus to mutate in you and become a vaccine resistant strain, right? So you took a couple of vaccines where I feel like, I don't know. I feel like the anti-vax, my generation at least, millennials, we were right ahead of the curve when it comes to the anti-vaccine like nutters. Sure, there's your like hippies and shit out there that refuse to vaccinate their kids or whatever, those people. But in terms of it being like a discussion, but in terms of it being a discussion overall in pop culture, like Jenny McCarthy and that whole fucking thing, yeah, I don't think that was really a thing before we were vaccinated and all that stuff. Word, yeah. I'm getting my vaccine this weekend. Hopefully I can get the Johnson & Johnson because I really hate injections and I really would only want to have to do that once, but I'll take what I can get. So I'm going to read this article German Chancellor Angela Merkel weighed in against a U.S. proposal to waive patent protections for COVID-19 vaccines, casting doubt on whether the idea has enough international support to become a reality. The U.S. plan would create severe complications for the production of vaccines, a German government spokeswoman said Thursday in an email. Without the incentive of profits from research and development spending, drug makers might not move as aggressively to make vaccines in the future, the industry has argued. And it's bullshit because, like I've already said, there was already no incentive to create these vaccines because just like how there was really no incentive to keep any type of pandemic contingency in place because nobody ever thought we would be in the middle of a global pandemic. The driver of innovation is necessity, right? We have the vaccine now because everybody's fucking dying of COVID, right? It's not because, well, not solely because there's money to be made off of coming up with a COVID vaccine, right? Because if it was just money, these companies already get billions of dollars from the government. They would have come up with it already, right? Or at the very least, the research would have been much more farther along than it already was, right? So when you're talking about these types of talking points, it's like I said before, it's giving the game away because you're admitting you don't actually give a fuck about people, which is very concerning when you're in the medical industry, right? If you're in medicine, your primary concern should be towards the betterment of mankind in terms of things that can heal people. And of course, number one, preventative medicine, right? But you're giving the game away and saying that the only reason we come up with vaccines or treatments is because we can charge people an arm and a leg for them, which is disgusting because, like I said before, if you need something to live, whether it be insulin, a vaccine, whatever, the fact that you would withhold that from someone until they pay you enough fucking work time tokens is unconscionable to me. And the fact that people defend this system is baffling, honestly. But barring that, it seems like before capitalism was really a thing, that there was plenty of motivation for innovation and such. Like I said, necessity. Like, I'm pretty sure farming was invented without profit motivation. I'm pretty sure people just didn't want to fucking starve to death, so they came up with things like irrigation and that sort of thing. But you know, capitalists, it's just such a weird fucking game to play with these people because they will, what they think they're doing is justifying their belief, but what they're actually doing is demonstrating to you that they actually don't give a fuck about other people or the actual progression of mankind at all. The only thing that they care about is lining their pockets in the short term. So, pharmaceutical stocks that had sunk on the news of the U.S. proposal rebounded on Merkel's stance. And I'm sure, I don't know, Moderna Incorporated was down 2.1% after falling as low as 12% earlier. CureVac NV fell 5.4%, an improvement from its earlier 13% decline, while BioNTech SE was down 3.5% after earlier dropping 15%. It's just, especially after what you were saying, Misha, the fact that you would take this stance after you had trouble securing vaccines in your country is absolutely mind-blowing to me. And the other talking point is that other countries would not have the infrastructure, but even if the waiver was like passed, was supported, even if the intellectual property was waived, that's a non-argument because that's what you need to do then is share that infrastructure with these other countries. Send them refrigerators, send them syringes, whatever they need. That's not to say, oh, well, they can't produce it anyway, so we might as well keep charging them money for it to get it from us. Like, it's absolutely fucking insane to me. Absolutely insane. So there's that. Doesn't this sound weird that every 100 years from 1720 there was a virus? It sounds a little suspicious if you think about it. Some people just only think about cash these days. I mean, it's not really, Cam. Like, if you think about it, like, even with like antibiotics, we have something called MRSA, methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus, I think it stands for. I forget what the M stands for. Yep, methicillin. Which basically means that you have to understand the entire planet and all forms of life are evolving continually. Just like how history, when you think of history, history is not the 1800s, the 1900s. History is yesterday. History is last week. History is continually ongoing. And the same thing goes with evolution, right? There are organisms that exist in and around human beings that adapt continually to the way that humans live. So you have bacteria that will become, as we have created things like penicillin and so on and so forth to combat the bacteria, because bacteria wants to continue to live and propagate itself, it will figure out a way to get around that type of stuff. So you have things like MRSA and so on and so forth. Just like these viruses, you have viruses that will mutate and adapt and become impervious to vaccines in the future, right? What's it? Gonorrhea? Is it the gonorrhea that's like resistant to drugs now, I think? Or is it chlamydia? One of these STIs that's like dangerous now because the treatment for it is not going to be as effective at some point in the future. It's all good, Cam. Have a good night. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate you always coming through and discussing and stuff. So this next bit of news is a little bit lighthearted, a little bit funny. Since we talked about that, let's go ahead and go to two funny pieces of news. So this one is about Twitter suspending an account that was basically just tweeting whatever Trump was saying. I think the account was called From the Desk. Twitter suspended the Trump blog account DJT Desk. Twitter spokesperson said, as stated in our ban evasion policy, we'll take enforcement action on accounts whose apparent intent is to replace or promote content affiliated with a suspended account. So that's funny to me. You know what I mean? That's very funny to me. So Trump is banned. Anyone who associates with him or tries to post any of his content on Twitter will be henceforth banned. That's just how Twitter does their thing. That's how Twitter works. So that's funny. What's up, Mr. Gunny? And here we've got Tucker Carlson's Fox News colleagues call out his dangerous anti-vaccination rhetoric. Let's watch this. If this will ever stop spinning and actually load.
So, Sanjay, look, I've asked this question before about Tucker Carlson. Does he want his viewers to live? Last night, he went on TV. And, you know, he flowered it up with, oh, I'm just asking questions. But if you watched it, you were left with the impression that this guy with no medical degree was suggesting that vaccines are killing thousands of people. Now, I don't know why he did it. Again, maybe it's just to get attention. But I think we need scientists who we could have had on to talk about it. Doctors like you, please set the record straight.
It's so reckless. John, it's so dangerous what he's doing, and I'm glad you didn't actually show the clip because I think that's the wrong thing to do. I can't tell with him whether he's
I'll
just
pause
so
it for a
smart
second just to tell you guys.
so
So basically, what they're referring to is that I'm just going to tell you guys, so you know, I'm not going to play the clip because it's stupid. But Tucker Carlson is saying that the vaccine is killing like 30 people a day. He actually said this on his program. It's pretty gnarly.
So dumb. I'm just not sure at this point, but it is very reckless and dangerous. What he's talking about is this system that is an open label system where anybody can basically report an adverse event from the vaccine. Anybody can do that. And what he's done is he basically has looked at these open system adverse reporting systems and said, hey, look, this suggests that 30 people a day are dying of the vaccine. Absolutely Absolutely not true. First of all, let me just show you the graphic of the impact overall of these vaccines. We know that a certain number of people die every day for all sorts of different reasons. We also know, if you take a look there at that right curve, that after the vaccination program started, death rates plummeted among the elderly. We know the impact of that. This is the same reporting system that basically found a 1 in a million likelihood of someone having an adverse event from the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. That's how they initially found that. These reports came in, CDC evaluates it, and they say, whoa, something going on here. Let's pause Johnson & Johnson. What Tucker Carlson is saying is that dozens of people are dying every day, and the CDC and FDA are turning a blind eye to it. It's absolutely 100% false. The problem is that it continues to stir up this vaccine hesitance or outright vaccine reluctance. It is so frustrating because, we've been starting our way through reporting on this pandemic for a year, because instead of continuing to build the knowledge tree, we've had to continuously fact check and correct misinformation. It's been so frustrating as a scientific reporter, and it's still happening. In the midst of what is arguably one of the greatest scientific achievements that we've had, maybe ever, these vaccines, we are still stopping our way through, what is happening here. We could be in much better position if it were not for people like Tucker Carlson, who continue to embolden this vaccine hesitance. It's really very irritating. COVID, a disease that didn't exist 2 years ago, was the second or third leading cause of death in the United States. We have a chance to dramatically change that around. I have relatives in India who are sick. I have a relative who died for want of vaccines in other parts of the world. People are on their hands and knees begging for these vaccines, and here we are throwing shade at it in order to
That's what I've been saying. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So, look at the science, look at the numbers, understand what that reporting system is, a reporting system that caught literally a 1 in a million problem. It's not turning a blind eye to 30 deaths a day, which is what Tucker Carlson seemed to be suggesting.
That's what's so crazy to me, is that there's people in other countries, and this is what bothers me about like black people, like fucking hoteps and like super fucking aggro woke like black dudes. Not even just black people in general that are like, I don't trust the government. This is some Tuskegee type shit. Fucking, I'm not taking the vaccine. It's silly. There's people in Africa right now who are fucking begging for these vaccines and getting absolutely fucking clapped by COVID-19. And furthermore, when the Tuskegee study was happening, it was happening in a very specific community. You didn't have, so if the vaccine was something that was going to poison and like kill poor black and brown people, you think that they would be airdropping that shit all over the place for free instead of trying to hoard it in the richest areas in the world, right? But you can't fucking talk any kind of sense to these people. They just want to believe whatever they want to believe and feel smart and comforted in the knowledge that they're smarter than everyone else, even though they have to reconcile the fact that they're so fucking smart and so fucking worthless at the same time. Yo, what's up, CJ? So here's some more funny news. Someone's mom, I guess, dry snitched on them and got them locked up for January 6th. A New Jersey man is facing charges for taking part in the U.S. Capitol insurrection after family friends gossiped that he was at the pro-Trump riot. The mother of Robert Petrosh Jr. of Mays Landing had told a woman with whom she was good friends that Petrosh went inside the Capitol on January 6th, according to his arrest paperwork made public this week. A grandchild of the family friend then reported Petrosh to the FBI on January 17th. The document said, "Yikes, yo snitched. Get fucking wrecked, dumbass. Why the fuck would you? Oh my God." Petrosh is just one in a long line of alleged Capitol rioters whom friends, family members, co-workers, and ex-partners have reported to federal authorities during the months-long dragnet. The FBI was able to identify Petrosh inside the Capitol in a photo and in surveillance video, an agent wrote to a federal judge. Another tipster and an FBI officer who had known Petrosh socially also helped identify him. Damn, yo got super snitched on. The charges he faces are of a less serious variety compared to many of the Capitol riot cases. Petros is charged in a complaint in D.C.'s federal court with 4 counts related to being on the restricted Capitol grounds and in the building on January 6th. More than 400 alleged rioters are facing federal criminal charges connected to the insurrection. Petros was arrested in New Jersey and was released by a judge on Tuesday on a $50,000 unsecured bond, according to court records. He's set for a next court appearance in Washington, D.C. next week. His attorney did not respond to a request for comment. So, the one cool, well, I don't know if it's cool or not, but the one interesting thing that we might see come out of this is we might see a change to voting and gun possession laws around felons, because those people are felons now. Even that guy who had not as serious charges, those were all still felonious charges because he was in DC. So he's got an F now. And I'm sure that's going to create an entire new block of people who are also no longer voters because felons can't vote. But I'm sure those people are going to be very upset about their newfound condition as a second-class citizen in America. Welcome to your first day as a black man. You wanted to be oppressed? Now you are. Congratulations. So, back to some kind of shitty news. Florida governor signs new restrictive bill on blatant attack on right to vote. And here is Ron DeSantis just being an absolute shitbag yet again and proving that Florida should really just be, if we're going to build the wall anywhere, we should pick it up from Texas and the borderlands and just drop that shit on the Florida. Do occasional exfils to get refugees out of Florida, but just wall that bitch off. Give that land back to God. And maybe airdrop supplies occasionally. Just fuck Florida, basically. But anyway, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has signed a bill imposing new limits on voting by mail and using ballot drop boxes, the latest Republican-backed voting restrictions to become law in a U.S. election battleground state. The White House swiftly criticized the law, saying Florida was moving in the wrong direction. The new law restricts the use of absentee ballot drop boxes to the early voting period, adds new identification requirements for requesting such ballots, and requires voters to reapply for absentee ballots in each new general election cycle. Previously, Florida voters only had to apply once every 2 election cycles. And there's stupid people who are not going to understand why this is anti-voter. So it's literally just adding extra steps. It's adding barriers, whether you consider them easy to cross or not. It's adding extra steps to between you and voting. So while you can sit there and say, for maybe you personally, this is not an issue, there are people out there that this is going to affect. People who would have voted before who will now not be able to vote because Republicans win when less people vote. This is just a fact. Because the thing is, it's the same reason why we have gerrymandering, why districts are cut up and chopped up into the goofy ass shapes and ways that they are. It's because Republican positions are wildly unpopular in major cities and those sorts of things. So they have to cheat to win. That's why whenever there's actual evidence of fraud in elections, it's always Republicans, because they cannot win without cheating or moving the goalposts, rigging the rules of the game somehow, right? And I'm just throwing that out there right now. I don't think I have any conservatives that are going to argue with me about that right now, but this is something I can demonstrate for sure, either right now or if anyone's watching this VOD in the future, leave a salty comment because I'm sure you will, and we will go over this in a future stream. But I'm going to continue. The law also gives partisan election observers more power to raise objections and requires people offering voters assistance to stay at least 150 feet, 45 meters, away from polling places, and increase from the previous 100-foot radius. The Deputy White House Press Secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, blamed the new voting restrictions on Donald Trump's big lie, the baseless assertion that there was widespread fraud in the presidential election. And that's not wrong. All of these things are literally going through for two reasons. Because of, and they're directly related to each other. Donald Trump saying and repeating over and over again, despite the certification of all of these elections, that there was rampant and widespread fraud, people voting twice, dead people voting, so on and so forth. And the fact that Republicans lost and they're the biggest fucking sore losers on the planet. January 6th is all the evidence that you need to understand that. So, there is no legitimate reason to change the rules right now to make it harder to vote, Jean-Pierre said. The only reason to change the rules right now is if you don't like who voted, and that should be out of bounds, and that's exactly correct. Republican legislators in dozens of states have pursued measures to restrict voting rights in the aftermath of former President Donald Trump's false claims that the 2020 election was stolen from him through widespread voting fraud. Lawmakers in the Texas House of Representatives were poised on Thursday to advance sweeping new voting limits despite opposition from numerous businesses. Minutes after DeSantis signed the law, the League of Women Voters of Florida and two other civil rights groups sued Florida's 67 counties to try to block the new restrictions. They are represented by Mark Elias, a Democratic lawyer who also sued Georgia over voting limits the state passed in March. The Florida branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Disability Rights Florida, and the good government group Common Cause also sued the state on Thursday, arguing the limits would disproportionately hurt Black, Latino, and disabled voters. Derek Johnson, president and CEO of the NAACP, called the move a blatant and calculated attack on the right to vote and a horrifying reminder of the fragility of democracy. I agree with all that except for the fragility of democracy part, because we don't actually live in a democracy. We live in a kleptocratic corporatocracy. So Republican lawmakers have cited the unfounded claims made by Trump, a Florida absentee voter himself, after his decisive loss to Joe Biden. Judges rejected such claims in more than 60 lawsuits. 60 lawsuits. There was 60 lawsuits that all got fucking teabagged. 60 lawsuits that failed to overturn the election result. Lawmakers in Republican-controlled states, including Georgia, Texas, and Arizona, nevertheless proposed legislation they said was necessary to curb voter fraud, which is extremely rare in the United States. Voter fraud is extremely rare in the United States. Local news outlets were barred from DeSantis' signing of the bill on Thursday, of course. The governor, who is expected to soon announce his re-election campaign, instead gave Fox News an exclusive of the event because, of course, he did. It was on national TV. It wasn't secret, DeSantis told reporters. Oh my God. This is beautiful. The governor's unusual decision to grant only Fox access to the event prompted complaints from journalists that DeSantis was preventing the public from witnessing crucial government business. DeSantis acknowledged in February that Florida had held the smoothest, most successful election of any state in the country, but said new limits on absentee ballots were needed to safeguard election integrity. So he himself said that they had the smoothest and most successful election, but he's just like, yeah, let's go ahead and throw some more barriers to entry in there anyway, just cause, just as a treat, Mail-in ballots or absentee ballots were used by Democratic voters in greater numbers than Republicans in the 2020 election, as many people avoided in-person voting during the coronavirus pandemic. And there's your answer right there. More Democrats vote by mail or via absentee ballots than Republicans, and therefore, when you restrict those methods of voting, you restrict the number of Democratic votes. And that gives the Republicans an advantage because, like I said before, the only way Republicans can win is if they cheat or rig the game. Florida Republicans used mail-in voting slightly more than Democrats in the 2014, 2016, and 2018 general elections. But in November, Democrats submitted 2.2 million mail-in ballots compared with 1.5 million from Republicans. State records show after Trump falsely asserted for months that mail voting was rife with fraud. And this is something that right-wingers do a lot. It's just they'll dog whistle, right? And it's kind of weird because lately the dog whistling has moved to just straight up bullhorn. So like before, it would be the mail-in voting is the problem. It's rife with fraud, and the dog whistle was that black people and Latinos and such are voting in larger numbers, voting for dead people, et cetera, to the point where up until recently, where you have just like completely fucking absolutely deranged, paranoid people talking about how like black people are in the cities arming themselves and getting ready to invade the suburbs and massacre white people en masse, as if black people represent anything other than 12% of the overall country's population. It's just like absolutely insane shit that Republicans believe, that it's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like it's shit that's like beyond reason, right? Because you can't reason a person out of a position that they didn't arrive to by reason. It's the same reason you can't argue with religious people, right? Because these people just want to believe this crazy shit, and there's nothing you can say to them, right? But in March, Georgia's Republican governor signed a law that tightened absentee ballot identification requirements, restricted ballot drop box use, and allowed a Republican-controlled state agency to take over local voting operations. Democrats and voting rights advocates sued Georgia over the measure, saying it was aimed at disenfranchising black voters, who helped propel Biden to presidency and deliver Democrats 2 U.S. Senate victories in Georgia in January that gave them control of the chamber. Top U.S. companies also decried Georgia's law, and Major League Baseball moved its All-Star game out of the state in protest. So we have Florida following suit with Georgia and trying to restrict its black, Latino, and disabled population from voting because they overwhelmingly vote Democrat. And if they don't vote, then that means the Republicans have a better chance at winning, because Republicans can only win when they rig the game or just straight up cheat. So this last piece of news, Joe Biden going back to sucking after doing something that might be kind of awesome yesterday. Joe Biden is starting to sound hawkish about the deficit. Suddenly, Joe Biden is beginning to sound a little bit hawkish about the deficit. On Wednesday, reporters asked the president whether he was willing to accept a lower corporate tax hike than the one he proposed to pay for his infrastructure and jobs plan. I'm willing to compromise, but I'm not willing to not pay for what we're talking about. I'm not willing to deficit spend, he responded. Referring to Republicans who passed a debt-financed tax cut in 2017, he added, they already have us $2 trillion in the hole. And that's really fucking wild, because if you don't know this, I'm going to tell you a little secret, right? I'm going to tell you a secret. The US dollar is fucking fake. It is fake. It is phony. It is what is called fiat currency. The US dollar is not backed by anything than the barrel of a gun. Right? That is what the US dollar is backed by. The US dollar, money in the United States, is literally just numbers on a fucking screen, right? We can make or take away as much of it as we want at will, and it doesn't mean anything within the confines of this country because, as stated previously, our fiat currency is not backed by anything. It's not backed by gold. It's not backed by silver. It's not backed by diamonds. It's literally backed by the wishful thinking of the top 1% of the fucking world. And exactly what you're saying, Misha. It's also the fact that we dumped billions into the stock market last year to bail out all these fucking corporations, right? So whenever we're talking about bailing out like major banks or financiers and such, we have infinite money to do that because, like I said previously, it's literally just numbers on a screen. We have an endless supply of money to give those people when they need to bail out. But when the working class needs a bailout, when we need stimulus checks, when we need spending to fix our busted ass infrastructure, when we need Medicare for all, when we need anything, then we got to tighten the belt a little bit. We got to talk austerity, because how can we afford that? How are we going to pay for that? That shit costs money, right? It's ridiculous. So I don't really feel like reading the rest of that. That's all I got for the news tonight, I think. Unless you guys have something you want to talk about, I'll Google it. But on that note, I think I'm just gonna boot up this Hunt Showdown and get frustrated for the next like 30 minutes or so until it's time for me to go to sleep. Thanks everyone for watching the stream so far. If you don't like video games, if that's not your cup of tea, now would probably be the time to make an exit, unless you have some news that you would like to talk about yourself. If you do enjoy video games, you like to meme and geek with me about the news after the fact while we play, I appreciate you staying in with this long. I'm your favorite news show. Thank you, DC Metal Chris. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Jenna Evans, you've been virtually volunteering with the New Georgia Project to push for HR 1 and HR 4 and also reaching out to community members in Atlanta via text to help get them vaccination appointments, helping them with different informational resources, and it's been a great experience. Of course, minus the conspiracy theorists who respond and people who said they want to karate chop me in the cooch. Yikes. Also, apparently some think you are the devil. Sheesh. Yeah, that's got to be really strenuous work, Jenna, but I salute you, and I'm glad you're fighting a good fight, and yeah, I appreciate you more than you realize, and I'm sure that the people that you work with appreciate you as well. And I appreciate you guys giving me all the compliments and stuff. I get really paranoid up here, like, so it's not about me reading, because I've always, like, even in school and shit, I've always been very confident reading and like speaking publicly and all that good stuff. I just am worried about coming across like a fucking like himbo, like, because I really genuinely have no fucking clue what I'm talking about a solid 75% of the time. My analysis comes purely from my experience as, you know, like a black person and living in the working class, you know, the middle class, I guess you could say, having grown up in the middle class, which is non-existent. We could talk about that, but for the sake of argument, for the sake of expedience in terms of the conversation right now, and my views on social issues, like basically just being an anarchist, that's pretty much where my views on everything comes from. An anarchist firmly under the communist umbrella, you know what I mean? An anarchata. You truly love listening to me speak. I appreciate you, Jenna. I really do. I appreciate all of you guys. I would probably still do at least this part right here, the gaming part, just for funsies, but I definitely probably wouldn't be as keen on reading the news and doing that whole thing without you guys supporting me and without your input. So I appreciate you guys. It's motivating. I'm also working on like YouTube content because I want to do that too. So I want to do like YouTube stuff that's like easily digestible, like 5-10 minute videos on a lot of the concepts and beliefs that I have, and explaining that type of stuff to people, like breaking down how capitalism fucking sucks, destroying people's like preconceived notions about communism, what communism is, about socialism, trying to motivate people to organize on their own terms in their own communities with whatever way they're capable of doing that, whether it's you, Jenna, volunteering for the New Georgia Project, which is fucking awesome, whether it's you, DC Metal Chris, providing your platform to people like me, or fuck it, whether it's you, Misha, we fucking played music together, you know what I mean? Just even if it's just like fucking sharing articles and stuff on your Facebook account or whatever, even if that's whatever you have the energy to do is valuable, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be fucking you trying to go out and canvas and fucking go door to door knocking on doors trying to organize the Vanguard Party, right? Because that shit's probably not going to work a lot of the time anyway. That's what I love so much, or what I relate to so hard about the Anarchata shit, is it really focuses on the organic aspect of the emergence of, of the like communists or like socialists, like fifth column, I guess. This idea that through like mutual aid and just pure fucking black and impoverished joy, like we're gonna have parties, we're gonna have speakeasies and all this stuff that's gonna exist completely independently of the government, which includes like breakfast programs and stuff. Fred Hampton said it, like, even if you don't understand socialism, you don't understand communism, you don't understand Maoism, you've never read a fucking single page of Marx, if your kid is getting free breakfast in the morning, you're gonna fight for that. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's why I do what I do. I hope that I made sense with that little rant, because I tend to ramble. But I'm gonna play some quick play and also continue to talk. But ooh, yes, my favorite character model. I really hope I make it out. Really quickly though, this is gonna be a chair stream for all of 30 seconds. If you're watching and listening, even if you're not contributing to chat, please stick around for like 30 seconds because I'm fucking parched and I need to pour myself a drink really quick. So I'll be back. It's gonna be like a 30-second chair stream. I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, I am back. Ugh. You guys like my tank top? It's Pikachu and the Piccolo. Do I own a pimp comp? I do not. I wish I did. I don't know if Mary Rose is still in here. Shout out to Mary Rose, but I've talked to her so much about like wanting a chalice, more so back when I still drank alcohol, because I wanted like my cup to drink out of. But I still think it'd be really neat to like have a chalice, you know what I mean? Maybe not a pimp cup, but like a jewel encrusted or like a sterling silver chalice or something like that. It would be really fucking cool, I think. Right now I'm just using this fucking Firehouse Subs cup that I got from Firehouse Subs. They have the Infinity Coke machine. So what I did was I make one of two mixes when I do the Firehouse Subs Infinity Coke machine, or any Infinity Coke machine, whether it's like Chipotle or whatever. I like to do Fanta Cherry and Fanta Lime together to make like Fanta Cherry Limeade type deal. Or I get the Strawberry Barks Cream Soda. Since I can't get red cream soda on this part of the country, that's the closest I get to it. So, and yeah, shameless plug on behalf of Big Richard Lizard Man. It's all good. But I have seen the Big Richard Lizard mug, and it is very nice. It's very classy. There's this thing that I don't know if you guys know this about black people, but we do what's called the replacement sip, where you fill the cup and then you take a single sip and then you pour back into the cup to replace the sip that you just took. And since this is getting to the bottom of the 2 liter, I'm not going to do a replacement sip. I'm just going to take the rest of this just straight to the dome, you know. Fanta Raspberry and Fanta Peach with a little Sprite. That sounds champ. That sounds championship. I might try that out. The Fanta Peach is... I haven't tried a Fanta Peach. Peach soda, I'm into. The Fanta Raspberry is good, though. I have had the Fanta Raspberry. Have I tried the yokai peach? How am I supposed to eat my own peach? My perfect yokai peach. My flawless demon cake. I got up to get a drink like a couple minutes ago. You missed it. My flawless demon cake. My perfect yokai peach. There's 2 people near me. As soon as he goes for that clue, he's getting plugged. Just hope the leeches don't come for me before he does. This motherfucker's loud as shit. Oh, I tried to duff him. Oh, he knifed me though. He got lucky. He had to have had like 10 HP left. There's no way. Never bring fists to a knife fight. I tried to pull the knuckle knife out, but I was like, fuck it. I already got my fists out. He's already close to me. I might as well at least try. I thought his health was low enough from the shoddy shell. That way I could just duff him and drop him, but... Bum ba bum bum. Yeah, thank you, Jen. I appreciate you stopping by. I hope you have a great rest of your night, too, and good luck with the New Georgia project and all that stuff. That's really awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna do some car rants. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm definitely gonna do some car rants for my YouTube. It's gonna be me in like 7-Eleven sunglasses. You can't watch anyone play this game without it making you want to play. Yeah, that's how I feel, Kuma. I used to watch like oh, what's that dude's name? Calamity. I used to watch Calamity play, but like I can't watch. This is like the one game where I watch people play it and I automatically want to start playing it. I can watch people play MK and not really want to play if I'm not in the mood. I can watch people play like Dead by Daylight, but I can't not play this game if I watch someone else play it. Bum bum bum. Okay. That sucked. I saw him sitting there. There was just nothing I could do from that range. Except run headlong towards my death. Towards my demise. Let's play again. Blum, 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 blum. Blum, 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 blum. Hmm. 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 Hey, thanks, Mom. Thank you for the like. Alright, let's see what I got this run. Quick play is good for getting warmed up because there's really low stakes because you don't really have any attachment to the hunter, but also you get into fights fairly quickly. Like, that was the second game in a row where I got into a fight right at the first clue. There's a lot of stuff around me, so I'm trying not to aggro any of it. How am I supposed to get in this? I'll take a cavalry saber for now. Oh, never mind. Clue's right there. Is this LaBelle? Ooh, I'll take that. Okay. Oh, he can actually bust through that. Yikes. I just hear people dying in the distance, and it's very concerning. I botched that shot.
Ugh.
Nope. You tried. through the wall. Doing good this match. Need ammo though. Am I about to get the day spring? Or the wall spring? Keep calling it the day spring like it's Cable from X-Men. I think I got the wall spring. Let's see how this goes. And no ammo. Do I have traps? I don't. Fuck! Get away from me. Oh shit. Come on, rush me. So I can stab you. Oh! We stab each other? How does she survive that? Are you serious? Oh. That sucks. That's kind of sus, I'm not gonna lie, but it is what it is. Yeah, I did pretty good that match. I did alright that match. I really wanted that label. I prefer iron sights, but I'll take a scope. Two kills that game. think I'm gonna do like one more and call it a night. Let's see if I can't make it out on this one. Yeah, just one more. I'm gonna call it an early night again. I have to do laundry and stuff still, and I'm pretty tired. I had a long day today. I had to do a lot of stuff at work today. I had to pull like 40 pallets. Yeah, thanks, Kuma. At least tomorrow's Friday, and then the weekend, so I get to sleep in all weekend. What up, Vibe? Yeah, thanks for stopping by. I hope your night gets better. Hope you're doing alright, Vibe. Stressful times. Very stressful times. Right on, Vibe. I'm actually probably going to end it after this game. Bum. Bum. Ran out of melee stamina. Oh, of course there's a hive. Hopefully she doesn't notice me before I get a good whack in. At least I have a full-length shotgun now. Cool, I have a decent pistol now, too. Oh, fuck. Well, I guess I gotta hurry up in here. That's not good. That's also not great, but manageable. Come here. I just want to talk. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Alright, so I guess that's it. Of course. Thanks for watching, everyone. That was really, really shitty. But I'll be on tomorrow, same time, same place. See you guys. Yeah, that's not how I want to end it, but yeah. Yeah, I know. I got bodied. Rough night, bad luck. That's all. I probably got a decent amount of money behind that though. I wanted to get at least one kill. Yeah, I got a decent amount of money. What I unlock? Vitality shots, cool. I at least unlocked something. And I have almost 10 bands, so that's cool too. But and I really wanted that character model as well. Let me see if I can't, like, well, my roster's full anyway, so that sucks. Anyway, thanks for watching, y'all.